Welcome to the Real Estate Investing Club. This is the place everyday real estate investors gather to share their best stories, biggest insights, and favorite tactics to grow a portfolio of cash-flowing properties in today's market. Here's your host, Gabe Peterson.
All right. Welcome back to another episode of the Real Estate Investing Club, and happy Friday, everybody. I hope you guys are having a great week. It is still rainy here in Seattle. It's the end of August. It always starts to rain about now, which signifies that we are going into fall, and I love fall. So I am excited. I'm excited for a second reason because we have Erwin, and I'm going to butcher this, but Groenendijk from he's Dutch and he's from Spain. So this is an international episode. We're talking about investing out there in Europe, in Spain specifically. Erwin, I'm super excited to jump into this. Thanks for hopping on the show.
Nice. Thanks for having me. Yeah. So I'm Dutch myself, living in Spain, and we're doing real estate things here. Let's I can explain you everything what you want to know.
Yeah. Did I butcher that last name, by the way, or was I,
it was close. It was close. So it's Groenendijk, but you did it perfectly well.
There we go. All right. Well, Erwin, I told you before we got on here, we always like starting with stories. We like to hear how people got to where they are. Sounds like you guys have quite a bit of experience out there in developing. So why don't you tell us, how'd you get into real estate in the first place?
Yeah. So we were just talking before, and you were talking about that you were working for a corporate job before. The same for me. I came to Barcelona to work for a big company, technology company. And after 2 years in the job, I was thinking, what the hell am I doing here, right? So that was completely not fulfilling. And I started to get to know one of the partners, and we started to get to invest in real estate. We first started with flips, so just an apartment in Barcelona, by the way. And then after, we moved to Valencia. And by the way, Valencia is also interesting. So maybe for the people that are listening to this, probably they know some cities in Spain, right? Because Barcelona, most of the people know it or they have heard about it. Maybe not all the people have been to, but you've been to Barcelona, right?
Yeah, yep. I love Barcelona.
Have you also been to Valencia, by the way?
I did go to Valencia. I went to Valencia, Barcelona, Ronda, and then I studied in Granada. Every single city I went to, I loved tapas. Oh my God, they were so good. So I love Spain.
It's good stuff. So in Spain, you have two big cities, which are Barcelona and Madrid. So these are also the economic kind of hubs of the whole city, of the whole country. Now you have some other cities like Valencia. There's more second, third tier cities where the prices are completely different. So the square meter prices in these other cities are sometimes even half of the bigger cities. So we moved to also these second tier cities. That is then Valencia, Alicante, that area, because the square meter price is a lot lower there. And so we started with flips, just some apartments. Then we grew to more apartments. We started to buildings. And we've been always doing that with outside investors, so with private lenders. And so we have been doing it in multiple ways. We have been doing it with loans, that we're doing the profit sharing, the loans to giving them a fixed rate of return. And we've been growing for the last years. And in the last years, recently, we've been doing a lot of, and I know that you have also been doing that, a lot of conversion. So the change of use projects, we're buying them big garages and they're making or normal residential units from it, or tourist units, which is quite interesting because with tourist units, as well, in the US, it's the same. You can get quite high return on investment. The yields are quite higher.
And so by tourist units, do you mean short-term rentals, Airbnbs?
Short-term rentals. That's it.
Okay.
That's it. And so the next phase for us is that we're now focusing on new developments. So we're going to do new developments in cities Alicante and also the Costa Blanca, which is the coast in between Valencia and Alicante. If you look it up in the map, it's kind of the eastern coast, just in the middle of the country.
Very cool, man. I love it. So it sounds like, we had a similar background. You were in corporate and you started doing flips and kind of snowballed from there. The first question that pops into my mind is why did you not do this in the Netherlands? Why choose Spain?
Yeah, so in the Netherlands, I didn't know anything yet about real estate. I didn't even want to do anything with real estate. It was just, I met some people here in Spain, and sometimes these things are really curious how these things go, right? So I just met some people. I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, which was a big,
Ah,
big,
there we
big,
go. You
big.
guys read that over there too. I love it.
Yeah, 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 yeah. No, no, no. It's a big, big motivator. And of course, after reading that book, I was going to the office and I was thinking, what the hell am I doing here? But of course, I needed some more time to build up some cash flow coming out of the investment. So it took me some time. It took me 3.5 years before I could quit my job and then completely focus on our own company. So that's how it goes.
Nice. No, hey, 3.5 years. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, that is not that long. I remember when I first started investing, I was thinking like, oh, it's going to take me 10, 20 years to be able to leave my job, but it really doesn't take that long, especially in real estate. If you're investing well and you do your due diligence right, you can hit those cash flow goals pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Um, so I don't know what I love interviewing or what I love about interviewing people that are international is I get to learn about different markets and bring this knowledge to the people listening on the show. I don't know a ton about investing in Spain. So what is the median price that you are like in Valencia? What is the purchase price that you guys are looking at when you buy these single family houses?
Yeah, so kind of the medium, well, you can look at it from different ways. We are always trying to buy fixer-uppers, so we are always buying in lower state. So let's say in Barcelona, we're normally looking here at the square meter price, which is different for you guys because I don't know if you use the square
Square
meter.
foot, yeah.
Yeah, so the square meter price in Barcelona, it's going towards 4K. And in Valencia, it's
4,000? How many square meters or square feet are in a square meter? Square foot. Keep going, keep going.
And then yeah, no, no. So in Valencia, it's the half. So we're 2,000 per square meter. Did you already see it? How much it is?
Yeah, I just googled it. It's about a tenth, so 4,000 square meters or $4,000 or well, that's euros. 4,000 euros per square
Euros.
meter would be about $400 per square foot here in the U.S., which is really high. That's a very high here, especially in specific markets in the U.S. So yeah, I would understand why you'd want to focus in on something that's a little bit cheaper. Um, but you guys are also looking at commercial. You're not just doing single family. What kind of motivated you to focus on self storage?
Yeah. So going back to Valencia, right in that area. So it's in 2,000 per square meter. And then if you're buying a normal apartment or apartment that needs to be renovated, if you then are buying garages or commercial things that are in a bad state, then you can even half that or something even more than half that. So we're buying at around 600 or 500 euros per square meter. And then we were just trying to, well, make it better and then sell it for, what was it 1,500 or 2,000 per square meter. So that is then the big thing. To come back to your question, what is then the price to be thinking of? It also depends if you buy a fixer-upper or a completely new developed unit. A fixer-upper, you could kind of buy it in Valencia. You could buy an apartment for 150K for around 100 square meters. It's going up, by the way. And then in Barcelona, that same apartment will be 300K per 100 square meters or even higher, as we just said. But then, of
So
course, if you do.
you've mentioned apartments quite a lot. Are you focusing in mostly on apartments or individual stick built houses?
It's apartments. So we all
Okay.
we normally do apartment buildings here in Spain. So it's a little bit different. Like you guys are used to houses.
Mm.
Here's apartment buildings, and if we're going towards the new developments at the coast, you're talking more about semi-detached houses or the villas, and then yeah, but having really just alone, by itself houses is not that common here in Spain. No.
Interesting. Okay. Um, so I'm assuming the flow of the transaction goes pretty similarly. How are you guys finding deals over there in Spain?
So that's not that much different from you guys in the US. I mean, if you do deals, then deals will also come your way. And we just check also the listing platforms that we have here in Spain. So one big one here in Spain is called Idealista.
Hmm.
I don't know if you still remember from your time here, but that's the big one, idealista.com. And there you can find all the deals. That will be for you guys, Zillow, most
Zillow,
likely,
yeah. So you
right?
guys do you guys do off market stuff? Do you do cold calling, texting, mailers, that kind of stuff?
Yeah. We work our ass off to get the good deals. Yeah. And we need to because we also want to. So we still do that with outside investors. So all the
Mm,
projects that we are doing, whenever I build my capital up, I will buy a project or one unit in a project of 10 units that we're then developing. But normally we work with outside investors. So what we do is we find a plot of land or we find a building, we get investors in, and from their money, also with financed from the bank, we do the project. So that's normally how we are working.
got it. So speaking of outside investors, I mean, when you say outside investors, it could be people in Spain, it could be people in the Netherlands, whatever. But if somebody, a lot of the people, most of the people that listen to this podcast are in the U.S. If somebody from the U.S. wanted to invest in a project that's in Spain, one of your projects, perhaps, how does that process work? Are there any additional loopholes that a foreign or an international investor has to jump through in order to invest in a Spanish project?
So one thing that US citizens need to think of is that a little bit the tax system that you guys are taxed at. What I know from the bigger pocket platforms is that you guys, I think even if you're living in a different country, you're still being taxed by the US system, right? It just doesn't matter where you are, it's still being directed to your US statements, right?
Yeah,
So,
we always have to pay the government.
yeah. So that I'm not expert in that,
Mm,
but that will still stay the same. And then for you guys to come over, there's not that many differences. So for me as a resident here in Spain, if I apply for finance, I can get until, if it's my first apartment, until 80% of loan to value. And then for an international person, that will be a little bit less. Then we're talking about 70%. So that's not that much of a difference. There are some differences between the taxes that you need to pay. So here we have also rental tax. And that is for me, it's starting at 19%. It's being added with my salaried income. But for you guys outside
rental
the EU,
tax.
rental
So
tax.
so you would have to pay 19% of your rental income as a tax.
That's it. That's it.
Wow, that sucks.
That's it. Well, you have
Okay.
some deductions, right? You get to do some creative stuff as we all are investors.
Hmm.
So you guys don't have rental tax that you need to pay?
Not specifically. I mean, you have to pay just general taxes like your income tax, but a specific rental tax, we don't have a specifically for rentals. We don't have a tax.
Ah,
Yeah, that's unique to. Well, I don't know if it's unique to Spain, but it's not unique. It's not here in the U.S.
yeah. So you need to have it in mind. So we are starting at 19%, and the more you earn, the more you pay. And then for people outside of the EU, when you, for example, if you would like to invest in a property and you want to rent it out, then you guys are not starting at 19, you're starting at 24%. The only thing is it's a flat rate. So the more
Oh,
you earn, it will also stay at 24. So that's quite interesting. So
okay, that's good. So you've been doing this for 7 years, I believe is what I read. What does the next like 3 years look for you? What is your focus on? What are you focusing on right now, and what are you hoping to achieve?
yeah, so I mean, we've been starting with some apartments then the apartments started to go bigger towards buildings. We've been doing a lot of change of use projects, and what we're now noticing is that with more investors, more money available, we're moving towards a typical project that a lot of developers are doing here in Spain. That is new developments, buildings in a city, and also new developments at the coast, because we see that a lot of people like it for investing initiatives, but also just for maybe as a second home, right? Because
Mm,
Spain, for many people, at least in Europe, Spain is being seen as the place to be. But I think even for US people, because I've been talking with a lot of US, and there are some US investors that are investing with us. They just love Spain. Spain has
yeah,
this special thing, right? I mean, well,
yeah,
you start smiling because well, you notice it when you did your studies. But it's just a nice place to be. There's good food, there's good culture, there's good weather. So it makes it very comfortable for a lot of people to come here.
yeah. No, I've wanted to buy vacation home in Spain. I love Spain. I remember when I was over there, I visited. Can't remember how I got connected, but I visited this olive orchard, olive farm, essentially. And
Hmm.
there was a guy who was, I think he was in Sweden or something. He was a banker in Sweden, and then he retired and retired to the coast of Spain. And I was like, this is the life. This guy's living a pretty good life out here.
Right. And
Um,
also the cost of living is a lot lower here than, for example, for you guys, what you're used to in the US. So these square meter prices are quite higher in the bigger cities. But just as I said, if you go out of the bigger cities, there is just really lower prices for the properties and also for you to live. And you were just saying that you're now looking outside and it's raining right? But
Yeah.
here it's 3/4 of the year, it's just the sun is shining, it's comfortable weather, and that gives energy, right? That
Yeah.
gives life. And yeah, that's what we still love after so many years living here.
Yeah. I will say I do kind of like the rain growing up here in Seattle. I mean, the
Okay, okay,
Netherlands, I'm
okay.
sure the Netherlands has a similar,
Also,
it's a similar environment,
yeah.
but yeah, Spain definitely has a great environment to be in. So we're closing down on our 20 minutes, so I do have to move us on. Before we do, you haven't touched on self-storage yet. I love self-storage. I like buying it. I like talking about it. So I do have to hear about that. Is my understanding that self-storage is a uniquely American kind of asset class, and it's not quite as prevalent overseas, but you're in self-storage in Spain. So tell me how is it over there? Is there a lot of self-storage facilities out there for people to use? Are they popular? How's the asset?
No, no. So it's a big trend. Yeah, yeah. So it's since COVID, especially. So I was just talking. So we are now working together with some other with a company that is doing that. So they're using us to find them the deals and to manage it, the whole project, to make it ready as a self-storage.
Hmm.
So, but it's a huge thing, especially. So it was interesting because I was just talking one of them and self-storage, like you probably know, with COVID, it was one of the just not that many asset classes that stood through and even did better over time during COVID because people were just buying so much shit and still needing to get a place to store it. And then that has been just continuing. So first in the bigger cities, now in the second tier cities, and the third tier cities, also they are trying to open all across Spain. So yeah, it's a big movement. And so what you're now seeing is they're going towards the smaller cities because you can still get the return on investment on what they're doing there. But it's a huge thing. Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, here in especially in some states like Texas, there's a self-storage facility on every corner. It's crazy.
Ah,
Which means they're overbuilt, so it's hard to get good deals. But yeah, that's interesting to hear that it's coming out there in Europe.
because you are doing that, right? That's also your thing.
Yeah, yep. We buy self-storage. I love self-storage because it's very easy to manage. It's a pretty easy asset class, and it tends to be pretty consistent in the income. So yeah, self-storage is a great asset. All right, that leads us to the end. It's time to jump into the quick question round. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Starts with education. I need two recommendations. Could be any form. Give me a book recommendation, a movie recommendation, whatever. But it needs to be either about real estate or general life wisdom.
Cool. So I would say my biggest recommendation will be like many other people have been saying, most likely is the Rich Dad Poor Dad book, right? I'm not just reading it most likely for the more than 10 times already at this moment, just to refresh what I'm thinking of. And at the same moment, I'm listening a lot to Alex Hormozzi's podcast. I don't know if you know it. It's called The Game. Check
Mm-hmm.
it out. It's very, very good. It's more regarding business, I would say. So it's not only because, I mean, if you start with real estate, you're starting out as an investor, but as soon as you start to grow, you need to think it as a business, right? And that information that he's getting or giving is super, super valuable. So yeah, check it out.
Nice. I love it. All right. Next question is for your younger self. Let's go back to the Erwin of 7 years ago, who was just getting started in real estate. Go back to him, look him in the eye, give him one piece of advice moving forward.
Before we continue on with today's guest, I want to tell you guys about a community I'm launching on School to help investors like yourself grow your own portfolio. In this community, you'll get access to all the docs I use, all the systems I've built, everything I've used to grow my own portfolio, as well as instructions and guidance on how to get out there and find great deals, how to finance those deals, and then how to manage them for great returns. Since we're just launching it, the price will be set at a measly $20 per month, and whatever price you join at is the price you'll have for life. We will be increasing the price as the group grows, so if you're at all interested in growing your portfolio along other investors, now is the time to join. I will put the link somewhere in the bio or on our podcast website at therealestateinvestingclub.com, so if you are interested, head on over there. With that said, let's get back to the podcast.
Wow, I would say never doubt, and is applying to at this moment. Never doubt about the things that you're trying to do, because every time when we're now looking forward to the next steps, it feels a little bit overwhelming.
Yeah.
But then looking back, you think like, man, you should just do it even 2 or 3 times as big and just go for it, because time is very limited, and we need to enjoy it. And by the way, it is quite enjoyable here in Spain, the time. So that's, for the people that are listening, that already helps. But yeah, I would say that.
Yeah, I think that's really good advice. And I like how you put it. When you're not looking forward, you start to doubt yourself. And I think that's
it.
very pertinent, especially in real estate or any business you're trying to build. You always got to be looking towards your goal, because if you stop looking towards your goal and you kind of get stuck in the moment, and you'll start to look at all the different tasks, all the different things that need to be done, and you get overwhelmed. But really, it's just the next thing that needs to be done. Just one thing, the next step. You just got to focus on that one step and take that step. And if you do that enough times, eventually you're going to reach your goal.
And that's it. And also these small things are then just clouding whatever you're thinking of. But then at the same moment, what we're busy with lately is then to outsource wherever all the small tasks, so we and all the other partners can focus on the really big things, and that is making a big difference. Which is hire a virtual assistant, which isn't that costly. It helps a lot.
Yeah. All right. Next question is about finding deals. It all starts with reaching out to the seller and penning that purchase agreement. So, what is your favorite way to generate leads and find new deals?
Yeah, so we're heavy on that now, the upcoming time. So we've been doing a lot with just personal contacts, doing some social media. We've been doing rebranding. And we're going to work with some digital marketing agencies that are especially into the lead generation part. So they're just going to blast on social media. We're having a big lead funnel, I would say. We wrote a book about investing in Spain. So most likely we're just going to put that out in the open, just to create as many leads as possible, to get it into the newsletters and to start working from there. So we've been doing a lot from a personal, one-to-one networking and context, but now we're going to go big, because at one point, as you start to grow, you also need to create more leads.
Cool. Love it. All right, next question. I usually ask, what metro in the US are you most excited about investing in? But you are over there in Spain. So I'm going to break it out, and we're going to say in the entire world, there is a lot of opportunity and there's a lot of good cities to invest in. So what is the city that you're most excited about investing in today?
So I have to be honest that, besides Spain, I'm not that of an expert of other countries. Well, I know from a distance. I know also, for example, also in the US. Let me just focus on Spain. Is that I think in the eastern coast, you can still find a lot of good deals. And then if you just go, if people are listening to this, just type, go to Google Maps, Spain, and look at the eastern side and the coast there. You have still amazing smaller cities that are just looks like a paradise. You can get there your house that is just by itself. We call that immediately a villa, but for decent prices and for low living costs, you can have a very high quality of life, I would say. So I would just say in general, I love Spain, the country as it is, the people. So I would say anywhere in Spain where the numbers make sense, right? Is it your second home? Then go for just enjoying. If it's not your second home, it's for investing. Then look where the numbers make sense, and you will find your way.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just looking at Google Maps for Spain, and eastern side, I'm sure, except Barcelona, that is on the east, but I'm sure it's a little bit overpriced.
That's
There's
more higher.
a lot of towns going up and down that coast.
A lot of towns, all these towns have these small, nice, boulevards, or also the mountains. So it's not only the sea, you can also do a lot of hikes. So yeah, choose whatever feels right to you, and you will find your way.
Yeah, I remember I went to Almeria it's like the south of Spain, and that town was so cool. It was just like really quaint, and it was small, but yeah, I really like that. Maybe I'll have to look in there at one point.
Yeah, man, if you ever just decide to come over again, I will just let's go on a lunch. Let's, because you have also these really big menus that they do here of eating very good food, and I will take you out and we'll show you a lot of places that we like going to.
Sounds like a plan to me. That moves us to the next question. This is about lessons learned. Not every deal that we get into goes the way we expect it. In fact, most of the times there's going to be at least one thing that doesn't go to plan, but that's when we learn a lesson and we get to move on to the next deal. So what was a deal that went a little sideways for you? And then what was the lesson you pulled from it?
Yeah, so there was a deal that was our biggest deal since a couple of years, and then we invested in our first building. It was in the city center of Valencia. Very nice neighborhood. And this was an old building that we're trying to renovate completely. So in the end, it worked out well. We were in the middle of COVID, so everything took longer. The contractors just walked away. They had money problems. The materials, most likely for you guys to say, the materials just went to the roof. So the whole budget was completely outdone. And we bought a very old building. It was from 1900. So we bought a little bit more with our, how do you say that? With our
Your buy
heart
box?
instead
Oh,
of,
yeah.
instead of your head.
Yeah.
Or the other way around. I don't know.
Yeah. No, that's
But
right.
it was too old. We found out that, the beams, the structural beams were not good anymore. So everything was just a mess, I would say, to be honest. And that being then the biggest deal that we did at that moment, that was so in the end, we were expecting to give our investors back more than 15%, and we needed to, in the end, not lose money. We needed to give them back 3.5%, which was disappointing. In the end, we didn't lose money, but yeah, it was a lot of learnings there.
Yeah. And that, I mean, the good lesson there is watch out for old structures, especially over 100 years old, 1920 or 1900.
Don't do it.
There are so many things that could go wrong with with a building like that. But the thing is,
or if you have the money and you don't need to kind of count on it, or it's also you don't need to have any time pressure, then I would say do it, because in the end result, I will send you some photos after. The result was amazing. It was just like a diamond there in the city center. But
that's
for
what I was going to
investment
say.
purposes, don't do it, especially if you work with other investors when you have time pressure. It's not a good thing.
That's what I was gonna say. Is the problem is those old homes? They're also really pretty. Like they can have problems, but they are, if you do it right, if you do the flip right, they are gorgeous. And so
Yeah.
there's a win-win there. All right, next question is about raising money. It does take money to make money in real estate. That is for sure. So what is your favorite way to raise capital?
Yeah, so that is my responsibility when the company. I'm normally talking with the investors. So our personal touch is normally kind of what we are trying to do. We're trying to position ourselves different than what people normally know about real estate. I mean, the people that are listening to your podcast, they know that it's not the old suit, old people, old man business anymore. It's changing. The only thing is that when you're out there, that still a lot of people or agencies are trying to do that, and we are trying to switch it completely, make it transparent, human touch. And that is our big differentiator. And then as much personal time as we can, we do quite some events. We do seminars, we do courses and stuff like that. That works always the best. And at the same moment, we're trying to scale. So we need to think about doing a little bit less personal. So let's see how it goes in the upcoming time. We are trying to build in some lead magnets with, for example, the book that we're bringing out. But normally it works with just, especially also here in Spain again, also we're trying to bring people over. If people are coming over and they see where it is, how Spain is, then normally we don't need to do that much. Then Spain will speak for itself.
Yeah, Spain is definitely its own salesperson. It's a beautiful country. All right, that leads us to the very last question. This is for the listeners. You've given us a lot to think about. I'm sure people want to reach out, get in contact with you. This is a two-parter. Where can they find you? And then what can they expect when they reach out?
Yeah, so have a look at our website. It's www.mybluebricks.com. And there you can have a look at who we are, our team, also our projects. And then if at one point you think like, hey, that sounds interesting, I'm interested also in Spain, reach out via the forms on the web. And then as soon as possible, we will get in contact with you and show you some projects that we're working on at this moment, also some projects that we have been doing so far. But that's the easiest way. And if you want to reach out to me personally, you can have a look at my LinkedIn. My LinkedIn, it's my name. Again, it's a difficult name. Just type in my first name and then do the GR. Probably you will see me on LinkedIn already. But that's the best way.
Cool. And I will also put those links in the show notes. So if you guys do want to reach out, just click a little more in the description. It'll pull down that full description. And in there, you can find Erwin's link. All right, man, that wraps it up. Thank you very much for hopping on the show.
Nice. Thanks, Gabe. I appreciate it. Thanks also for the opportunity to do my story and also get to know you better in person. I liked it. Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. For everybody who's with us today, thank you guys for showing up. You are the reason we do this. So if you guys have any questions, reach out to me, Gabe at therealestateinvestingclub.com. If you guys want to support the show, just leave us a review. Other than that, I hope you guys have an absolutely fantastic week. Keep rocking real estate, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode.
All right, before I officially sign off, I have a quick announcement to make. If you're interested in becoming a passive investor in one of my deals, my own company, Kaizen Properties, is looking for capital partners for our upcoming projects. We invest in what are known as recession-resistant assets, mainly self-storage facilities, mobile home and RV parks, and industrial properties. If you're interested in investing and would like to learn a little bit more about my company, our investing criteria, and some of the previous projects we've done, go to the Real Estate Investing Club podcast at therealestateinvestingclub.com and scroll all the way down to the bottom of the page. Click on the Invest With Us button. That'll pop up the investor form. Fill that out, and we will reach back out to you as soon as we can. Or if you prefer a little bit more of a personal touch, you can reach out to me at gabe@therealestateinvestingclub.com. So really, that is it. Again, it was a pleasure hanging out with you guys during this episode, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode.